Lyra stood perfectly still in the Anderson family's driveway, her crystalline skin shimmering with nervous purple ripples. The morning sun made her sparkle like a diamond, but she barely noticed. All her attention was fixed on the large, furry creature watching her from the front porch. Earth was nothing like she had expected. The Commonwealth's briefings had prepared her for the buildings, the cars, and even the strange green plants that grew everywhere. But nothing had prepared her for the animals that humans kept in their homes. "That's just Max," Emily Anderson said, smiling at the golden retriever who sat wagging his tail. "He's the friendliest dog you'll ever meet." At 14, Emily had been chosen to help the alien visitor adjust to life on Earth, but she hadn't expected Lyra to be scared of a dog. Lyra's skin flickered between purple and green, a sign of uncertainty in her species. "The briefing said Earth mammals are unpredictable," she said in careful English. "They can bite, attack, show aggression without warning." Susan Anderson, Emily's mother, stepped out onto the porch. "Max has never bitten anyone in his life. He's more likely to drown you in kisses." She gently patted Max's head, and his tail wagged faster. The alien researcher tried to make sense of this. In the Commonwealth, keeping wild animals in homes would be unthinkable. Yet here was this family, living with a descendant of wolves as if it were normal. Jack Anderson emerged from the garage carrying Lyra's luggage. "You'll be staying in our guest room upstairs," he said. "Would you like to come inside and get settled?" Lyra looked at the path to the front door. The problem was obvious. She would have to walk past Max. Her skin rippled with anxious patterns. That's when Max made the decision for everyone. Despite the strict instructions to leave their guest alone, he stood up and slowly walked toward Lyra, his whole body wiggling with friendly excitement. "Max, come back here," Emily called, but the dog ignored her. Lyra's crystalline form stiffened as Max approached. Her species had evolved from mineral-based life forms, and their bodies could become as hard as rock when threatened. Right now, she was practically a statue. Max sat down 3 feet away from her and tilted his head. Then he did something that would change Lyra's entire understanding of Earth creatures. He lay down and rolled onto his back, exposing his belly in the ultimate display of trust. Emily couldn't help but laugh. "He wants you to pet him. That's his way of saying he wants to be friends." "Pet him." Lyra's voice wavered with uncertainty. In her culture, touching was reserved for the closest family members. Like this, Emily demonstrated, kneeling down to rub Max's belly. The dog's legs started thumping against the ground in happiness. "See, he loves it." Something about the dog's obvious joy made Lyra's fear begin to fade. Her skin shifted from purple to a cautious blue. With movements as slow as a glacier, she reached out one crystalline hand. Max stayed perfectly still, as if he understood her nervousness. When her fingers touched his fur, Lyra gasped. It was soft and warm, nothing like the cold, hard surfaces of her homeworld. "His heart rate indicates contentment," she said, her scientific training kicking in. "And his body language suggests no aggression." Her skin began to show hints of yellow, the color of discovery. "That's right," Susan said warmly. "Dogs have lived alongside humans for thousands of years. They can read our emotions better than we can sometimes." As if proving her point, Max rolled back onto his feet and gave Lyra's hand a gentle lick. The alien jumped slightly, then noticed something extraordinary. Her skin had automatically shifted to match the golden color of Max's fur. "Fascinating," she whispered. "My species only mirrors colors when we form emotional connections." She looked at the Andersons with wide eyes. "Is this normal, to form connections with Earth animals so quickly?" Jack smiled. "Welcome to Earth, Lyra, where the strangest things often turn out to be the most wonderful." For the first time since landing on this alien world, Lyra felt her fear truly begin to fade. Perhaps there was more to learn here than she had imagined. Much more. A week had passed since Lyra's arrival on Earth, and she sat cross-legged on the living room floor, watching Max with great interest. The golden retriever was lying nearby, his head resting on his paws, returning her gaze with equal curiosity. "I still don't understand," Lyra said to Emily, who was doing homework on the couch. "How does he know when someone is sad?" Her skin shifted to a questioning shade of blue-green. Emily looked up from her textbook. "Watch this," she said, putting down her pen. She made her face look sad and slumped her shoulders. Within seconds, Max was up and padding over to her, placing his head in her lap. "See?" Emily smiled, patting Max. "Dogs can read human body language really well. They've lived with us for thousands of years." Lyra's crystalline fingers tapped against the floor in thought. "But I'm not human. My species doesn't even have the same facial expressions as yours. Yet yesterday, when I was feeling homesick, Max brought me his favorite toy." "That's because dogs don't just read faces," Emily explained. "They pick up on all sorts of things: body language, tone of voice, and maybe even things we don't know about yet." As if to demonstrate, Max walked over to Lyra and sat down beside her. Her skin automatically rippled with yellow stripes, the color of happiness. She had stopped being afraid of touching him days ago, and now she found herself automatically reaching out to stroke his soft fur. "In the Commonwealth," Lyra said, "we use technology for everything. We have machines that read emotions, machines that translate thoughts, machines that predict behavior." She paused, watching as Max's tail wagged gently. "But this is different. More real." Emily nodded. "Dad says sometimes the simplest things are the most amazing." Just then, Jack Anderson came through the front door, returning from work. Max's ears perked up, and he gave an excited bark. Lyra watched in fascination as the dog's entire body seemed to wiggle with joy. "Look at his tail," Emily pointed out. "When dogs are happy, they wag their tails. When they're scared, they tuck them between their legs. When they're curious, they hold them straight out." Lyra's skin flickered with patterns of deep purple, her species sign of intense concentration. "Like how my people change colors with our emotions," she said slowly. "But much simpler." "Exactly," Emily grinned. "And see how his ears are up right now. That means he's alert and interested. When he's relaxed, they'll be more laid back." Jack walked over to join them, and Max immediately brought him a tennis ball. "Someone wants to play," he laughed. "May I try?" Lyra asked, her skin shimmering with eager gold flecks. "Of course," Jack handed her the ball. "Just throw it, and he'll bring it back." Lyra tossed the ball, and Max bounded after it with enthusiasm. When he returned, dropping the wet ball in her lap, she couldn't help but laugh. A sound like tinkling crystals that made Max's tail wag even faster. "The Commonwealth would never believe this," she said, throwing the ball again. "They think Earth is primitive because you don't have emotional translation devices or mood-reading technology." Her skin rippled with bright, happy patterns. "But you don't need them. You have something better." Emily watched as Lyra played with Max, noticing how the alien's movements had become more relaxed, more natural. The stiff, formal posture she'd arrived with was melting away. "You know," Lyra said thoughtfully, as Max brought the ball back for the 5th time, "on my world, we spend years studying how to read other species' emotional states. But Max, he just knows." Her skin showed swirls of white, the color of wonder. "That's the magic of dogs," Jack said, smiling at the scene before him. "They remind us that sometimes the heart understands what the mind needs textbooks to learn." As the evening sun painted the room in warm colors, Lyra realized something important. She had come to Earth to study humans, but these simple Earth creatures, these dogs, were teaching her lessons she had never expected to learn. "Are you sure about this?" Lyra asked as Emily parked her mother's car outside the local animal shelter. Her skin flickered with nervous green patterns. "One dog is manageable, but the briefing says there could be dozens inside." Emily turned off the engine. "That's why I brought you here. If you're going to study Earth's animals, you need to see more than just Max." She grabbed her volunteer badge from the dashboard. Plus, these dogs need our help. The sound of barking reached them even in the parking lot. Lyra's crystalline form stiffened slightly, but she took a deep breath. After 2 weeks with Max, she had learned to trust that not every loud noise meant danger. Inside, they were greeted by Rita, the shelter manager. Her eyes widened at the sight of Lyra's shimmering form, but she smiled warmly. Emily told me we'd have a special visitor today. Welcome to HFY Tales shelter. The first room they entered was the reception area, where a family was filling out adoption papers. A small white dog sat at their feet, its tail wagging so hard its whole body shook. That's Joy, Lyra said quietly, her skin showing flecks of gold as she recognized the emotion. Pure joy, just like Max shows. Rita nodded. That little one came in scared of everything. 3 weeks of love and care. And now look at her. She's going to her forever home. As they walked through the shelter, Lyra found herself fascinated by the different dogs. Each one had its own way of expressing emotions. Some barked excitedly, others wagged their tails, and a few watched quietly from their beds. Your eyes, Rita noticed, they're catching every little movement. You can see things most humans miss, can't you? Lyra's skin rippled with surprise. Yes, my species evolved to detect subtle color changes for communication. It helps me notice small shifts in the dog's body language. They stopped at a kennel where a brown dog with 3 legs lay on a blanket. Unlike the others, this dog didn't bark or jump up. It simply raised its head and looked at them with gentle brown eyes. This is Scout, Emily said softly. He lost his leg in an accident before coming here. Some people pass him by because they think he's broken, but he's one of the sweetest dogs I've ever met. Lyra knelt down by the kennel door. Scout's tail thumped softly against his blanket, but he didn't move otherwise. She noticed how his ears were relaxed, his eyes soft, his body language open but calm. May I? She asked Rita, gesturing to the kennel door. Rita nodded, and Emily added, Scout's great with new people. Inside the kennel, Lyra sat on the floor, letting Scout decide whether to approach her. The dog slowly got up, managing perfectly well on his 3 legs, and walked over to rest his head in her lap. Oh, Lyra breathed, her skin turning that deep, warm purple, the color of understanding. You're not broken at all, are you? You've just adapted, like how my people adapted to live on different worlds. Scout's tail wagged faster, and he pressed closer to her. Lyra felt something warm and wet on her hand-dog kisses, as Emily called them. You know, Rita said, watching them, most humans need time to look past Scout's missing leg, but you saw right through to who he really is. Lyra's skin shimmered with patterns of blue and gold. In the Commonwealth, we focus so much on perfection. Everything must be efficient, advanced, complete. She stroked Scout's soft ears. But there's something perfect about imperfection, isn't there? Emily smiled. That's what makes Earth special, I think. We accept things, and each other, as they are. Looking around at the shelter full of dogs, each one unique, each one carrying its own story, Lyra felt her scientific mind expanding. These weren't just simple creatures to be studied. They were teachers, showing her a different way of seeing the universe. Emily, she said, as Scout dozed peacefully in her lap, I think I'd like to come back here again. There's so much more to learn. Of course, Emily grinned. After all, you've only met about 20 dogs so far. There are millions more on Earth, and each one has something new to teach us. Lyra's skin glowed with happy patterns as Scout snored softly. She had come to Earth expecting to find primitive life forms. Instead, she was discovering wisdom in the most unexpected places. Lyra sat at the Andersons' dining room table, surrounded by data tablets and notebooks. Her skin flickered with excited patterns of blue and white as she reviewed her research findings. Max lay at her feet, while Scout, who she now visited every other day of the shelter, napped in a bed nearby. Look at this, she said to Emily, who was helping her organize her notes. Dogs can understand over 150 human words. They can read human faces better than some Earth primates. They even understand pointing gestures, something most animals can't do. Emily smiled at Lyra's enthusiasm. "You sound surprised." "I am." Lyra's skin sparkled with bright yellow dots, her species' way of showing excitement. The Commonwealth thinks Earth animals are simple because they don't use technology. But these creatures have developed abilities that our best machines still can't match. She pulled up a video she had recorded of Max comforting Susan when she had received sad news about a friend. See how he knew she was upset before she made any obvious signs. He responded to tiny changes in her body language and smell that even our best emotional detection devices can't pick up. Just then, Lyra's communication device chimed. A hologram appeared above the table, showing a stern-looking crystalline being. Dr. Vix, her supervisor from the Commonwealth Science Academy. "Researcher Lyra." Dr. Vix said formally, "I've reviewed your latest reports about Earth's canines. Your findings are concerning." Lyra's skin rippled with nervous purple, but she sat up straight. "What concerns you, Doctor?" "You're attributing complex emotional intelligence to simple Earth creatures. These claims about dogs understanding human emotions better than our technology." "Because they do," Lyra interrupted, surprising herself with her boldness. "I've documented hundreds of instances. Look at this." She transmitted a new set of data showing how Scout helped calm anxious children at the shelter. Dr. Vix's hologram flickered with dismissive patterns. "These creatures evolved from hunting pack animals. Any social behavior is simply primitive instinct." As if understanding he was being discussed, Scout lifted his head and looked at the hologram. His three-legged walk was steady as he moved to Lyra's side, pressing against her leg in a show of support. "With respect, Doctor," Lyra said, her hand resting on Scout's head, "there's nothing primitive about it. Dogs have developed a unique ability to bond with other species. They can read emotions across species barriers without any technological help. That's more advanced than anything we've achieved." Emily watched as Lyra stood her ground, noticing how her alien friend's skin now showed patterns of confident green, a color she'd never displayed before. "The Commonwealth defines intelligence by technological advancement," Lyra continued. "But what if we're missing other forms of intelligence? What if emotional intelligence is just as important as technological intelligence?" Dr. Vix's hologram showed patterns of shock. "You're letting your time on Earth cloud your scientific judgment. These are pets, nothing more." Right then, Max got up and brought his favorite toy to the hologram, tail wagging. He dropped it right through the projection, making Emily laugh. "No, Doctor," Lyra said, her skin glowing with conviction. "They're teachers. Look at Max. He just tried to make friends with a hologram. His instinct is to connect, to comfort, to understand. Isn't that what we're trying to achieve with all our emotional translation technology?" She sent another data burst to Dr. Vix. "My research shows that dogs don't just understand emotions, they help regulate them. They reduce stress hormones in humans, increase positive brain chemicals, and create social bonds that cross species barriers. They're not just pets, they're natural ambassadors." Dr. Vix's hologram showed patterns of reluctant interest. "Submit your full research. The Academy will review your findings." After the hologram disappeared, Emily hugged Lyra. "You stood up for Earth dogs to your boss. That was brave." Lyra's skin swirled with mixed colors: pride, nervousness, and determination. "I had to. They taught me something important. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. We don't always need advanced technology to understand each other. Sometimes we just need to open our hearts and pay attention." Both Max and Scout came to her then, offering their own kind of support. As Lyra petted them, she knew she had discovered something that would change both Earth and Commonwealth science forever. If only she could make others see it too. Lyra knew something was wrong the moment she walked into the shelter. Scout wasn't waiting by his kennel door like usual. Her skin turned a worried shade of gray when she found him lying quietly in his bed, barely wagging his tail at her approach. "He started limping yesterday," Rita explained, her face creased with concern. "Dr. Reynolds, our vet, says it's a problem with his remaining back leg. He needs surgery." Emily stood beside Lyra, watching as the alien researcher knelt down to gently pet Scout. The dog tried to stand but couldn't manage it. He settled for licking Lyra's crystalline hand instead. "How much will the surgery cost?" Lyra asked, her skin swirling with worried patterns. Rita's face fell. $8,000. The shelter has some emergency funds, but not nearly enough. And Scout's age makes him harder to get approved for financial aid. Lyra's mind raced. 8,000 Earth dollars was nothing to her. Commonwealth currency was worth far more. But there were strict rules about interfering with Earth's natural processes. Helping one Earth creature with advanced medical care could get her sent home immediately. "What happens if he doesn't get the surgery?" Emily asked, though her voice suggested she already knew the answer. Rita shook her head sadly. "Without it, he'll lose the use of his leg completely. A dog his size can't manage with only 2 legs." Scout whined softly and pressed his head against Lyra's hand. Her skin flickered between deep purple worry and bright red determination. "I have to make a call," she said suddenly, standing up. Outside the shelter, she activated her communication device. Dr. Vix's hologram appeared almost immediately. "Researcher Lyra, I was about to contact you. The Academy is still reviewing your findings about Earth canines, and, Doctor, I need permission to use Commonwealth funds for medical intervention." Lyra interrupted. Her skin showed no nervous patterns now, only determined red. "Absolutely not." Dr. Vix's hologram flickered with angry patterns. "You know the rules about interfering with Earth species. We observe only." "This isn't interference, it's research," Lyra argued. "My studies show that dogs form deep emotional bonds that affect their health. Scout is a perfect case study. His recovery could provide valuable data about Earth animals' emotional resilience." "You're too emotionally involved," Dr. Vix said. "This is exactly why we avoid personal contact with study subjects. Your request is denied." The hologram disappeared. Lyra stood there, her skin dark with frustration. When she went back inside, Emily was sitting with Scout, tears in her eyes. "I'll sell my car," Emily said. "It's old, but—" "That won't be enough," Rita said gently. "And the surgery needs to happen soon." Lyra watched as Scout tried again to stand, managing only with Emily's help. Her skin began to show a pattern that neither Rita nor Emily had seen before, a bright, fierce gold that seemed to shine from within. "I have an idea," she said, "but I need help." Over the next few days, the Andersons' house became mission control. Emily created online posts about Scout's story. Jack contacted local news stations. Susan organized a bake sale at her office. Lyra couldn't use Commonwealth money, but she could share Scout's story. How he helped scared children feel brave. How he welcomed other dogs despite his own challenges. How he showed that being different didn't mean being broken. The community responded. Local businesses donated. Children brought piggy banks to the shelter. A dog training school held a fundraising event. Even Dr. Reynolds offered to do the surgery at a discount. Lyra documented everything, her skin glowing brighter with each show of human kindness. This wasn't just about saving one dog anymore. It was proof of something she had suspected since meeting Max. Earth's creatures weren't just capable of forming bonds. They inspired others to form bonds too. When Dr. Vix's next message arrived, asking why her research had gone viral on Earth's internet, Lyra's skin showed a new pattern, one that looked remarkably like a smile. Scout's surgery was a success. 3 weeks later, he ran across the shelter's yard on all 3 legs, chasing a tennis ball while Lyra recorded his progress. Her skin glowed with happy yellow patterns as she watched him play. "Your report about Scout's recovery has caused quite a stir," Dr. Vix's hologram said. hovering beside her. The senior researcher had arrived on Earth personally after Scout's story spread across both human and Commonwealth networks. The Academy has never seen anything like it. Lyra nodded, her skin showing confident green patterns. The whole community helped save him. Humans call it coming together. They do it without any official organization or advanced planning systems. Scout brought the ball back and dropped it at Dr. Vix's hologram. The senior researcher's crystalline form flickered with surprise at the simple gesture of friendship. "See that?" Lyra pointed excitedly. "He knows you're a thinking being, even though you're just a hologram. Earth dogs can recognize intelligence in forms very different from their own. That's more advanced than our best AI systems." Inside the shelter, they found Emily working with a new group of Commonwealth scientists. 3 crystalline beings watched in fascination as she demonstrated how to approach nervous dogs, how to read their body language, and how to earn their trust. "Remarkable," one scientist said, his skin showing patterns of discovery. "These creatures understand emotional states across species barriers naturally. No translation technology needed." "And look at this," another researcher added, reviewing data on her tablet. "The shelter's records show that dogs can help heal emotional trauma in humans. They provide something called unconditional love, a concept we don't have in the Commonwealth." Dr. Vix watched as Max, who had come along for the visit, gently approached a scared new dog. The golden retriever's body language was perfect, relaxed, non-threatening, friendly. The nervous dog soon relaxed and started wagging its tail. "In the Commonwealth," Dr. Vix said slowly, "we measure advancement by technological achievement. But this is a different kind of advancement." Lyra's skin sparkled with pride. "That's what I've been trying to show you. Earth's dogs have evolved alongside humans for thousands of years, developing natural abilities that our technology still can't match." More Commonwealth scientists arrived each day. They set up research stations at shelters across Earth, studying how dogs communicated, how they formed bonds, and how they helped other species feel safe and understood. "The Academy Council has reviewed your findings," Dr. Vix told Lyra one evening at the Anderson house. "They've approved a new research program. We want to learn if Earth dogs can help facilitate communication between different alien species." Lyra's skin lit up with excitement. "You mean?" "Yes. We're going to see if dogs can become universal translators, not through technology, but through their natural ability to understand and connect." Emily, who had been listening nearby, hugged Scout. "Did you hear that, boy? You're going to help aliens understand each other." The dog responded by giving her a happy lick on the face, making everyone laugh. Even Dr. Vix's hologram showed amused color patterns. "There's more," Dr. Vix added. "The Council wants to start a pilot program. Selected Earth dogs will be invited to Commonwealth diplomatic stations. They'll help create a more welcoming environment for different species." Lyra looked around the room. At Max sleeping by the fireplace, at Scout playing with his favorite toy, at the photos of their successful fundraiser on the walls. Her research had started with simple curiosity about Earth pets. Now it was changing how the Commonwealth saw intelligence itself. "Just think," Emily said, scratching Scout behind the ears. "All of this happened because you were brave enough to let a dog be your friend." Lyra's skin showed a new pattern, one that combined the colors of Earth's sky, the gold of Max's fur, and the warm brown of Scout's eyes. "No," she said softly. "It happened because they were brave enough to be mine." 6 months had passed since the Commonwealth approved the Earth Dog Integration Program. Lyra stood in the main hall of the Interstellar Peace Center, her skin glowing with pride, as she watched Max and Scout at work. The Golden Retriever and his 3-legged friend were the first dogs certified as xenotherapy animals, helpers who could work with beings from any world. Today, they were helping at a difficult meeting between 3 species who had never been able to communicate well before. "Watch this," Lyra whispered to Emily, who had come to see their friends in action. Scout walked calmly to the mist people, floating beings who looked like blue fog. Most species found them scary, but Scout simply sat down and wagged his tail. One of the mist people drifted down to pet him, their fog-like forms swirling with happy patterns. "They're relaxing," Emily said, smiling. "You can see their fog getting lighter." Meanwhile, Max had approached the rock walkers, beings made of living stone who had trouble understanding softer life forms. The golden retriever rolled over, showing his belly in a display of trust. The rock walker's crystal eyes lit up with understanding. "He's teaching them about vulnerability," Lyra explained, her skin showing teacher purple patterns. "See how they're lowering their stone spikes? They're learning to appear less threatening." The third species, the sun singers, watched all this with their glowing eyes. They were usually too bright for other species to look at directly. But when Scout limped over to them, happily wagging his tail despite his missing leg, they dimmed their light to pet him. "That's why Earth dogs are so special," Emily said. "They don't care what you look like or where you're from. They just want to be friends." Dr. Vix appeared next to them, no longer a hologram but present in physical form. "The latest results are remarkable. Meetings with therapy dogs present have an 89% higher success rate. Different species are learning to communicate through shared experience, their love of dogs." Lyra watched as Max brought his favorite toy to each group, getting them to play together. Her research notes were full of similar moments. Dogs didn't just help different species talk to each other, they helped them understand each other. "Look at Scout," she said proudly. The three-legged dog had gotten all three species to sit near each other, something that had never happened before. He shows them that being different isn't bad. That working together makes everyone stronger. A small sun singer child, glowing softly, began to play fetch with Scout, while a young rock walker and a tiny mist person joined in. Soon the room was full of happy sounds, barking, crystal chimes, fog whistles, and stone songs. "Your Earth dogs have changed everything," Dr. Vix said. "The Commonwealth used to think emotional intelligence was less important than technology. Now we're learning that understanding feelings is just as important as understanding science." Emily wiped happy tears from her eyes. And to think it all started because Lyra was scared of Max that first day. Lyra's skin showed embarrassed purple swirls, but she laughed. "I thought Earth creatures were primitive. Now they're teaching the most advanced species in the galaxy how to be better people." The meeting ended with all three species signing a peace agreement, something they had failed to do for hundreds of years. As they left, each one stopped to pet Max and Scout. "The Commonwealth Science Academy has a new saying," Dr. Vix told them. "When in doubt, ask a dog. They understand hearts better than our best computers understand minds." Lyra watched as Max and Scout accepted treats from their new alien friends. Her skin glowed with the special pattern she had developed just for them. A swirl of earth sky blue, golden fur yellow, and loving heart pink. "Emily," she said softly, "I think we've started something amazing." Emily nodded, hugging her alien friend. "We sure have. And this is just the beginning." As if agreeing, Max and Scout came over to join their human and alien family, tails wagging, ready for whatever adventure would come next. 5 years had passed since Lyra first arrived on Earth. She stood at the window of her office in the new Interplanetary Canine Training Academy, watching the sunrise over the Colorado mountains. Her skin glowed with warm morning colors as she felt a familiar nudge against her leg. "Good morning, Luna," she said, reaching down to pet her own dog. Luna was a young German shepherd who had been born at the shelter where Scout once lived. Like all dogs at the academy, she was training to become a xenotherapy animal. Emily, now the academy's head trainer, walked in with 2 cups of coffee. At 20, she was one of Earth's leading experts in alien dog relations. "Big day today," she said, handing Lyra a cup. The first graduation ceremony of the year. Through the window, they could see alien visitors arriving from across the galaxy. Crystal beings, fog creatures, stone walkers, and dozens of other species came to watch their dogs graduate. Each alien had spent months learning from Earth's dogs, and now they would take their furry teachers home to help on their own worlds. Max would have loved this, Lyra said softly, her skin showing gentle memory purple. The old golden retriever had passed away the year before, but his legacy lived on. He and Scout had been the first xenotherapy dogs, showing everyone that friendship had no borders. He's still teaching us, Emily smiled. Every new student learns about the golden retriever who wasn't afraid to give an alien a chance. Scout was retired now, living happily with Rita at the shelter. Though his joints were stiff with age, he still helped scared dogs feel brave and showed alien visitors that differences made them special, not broken. Dr. Vix appeared in the doorway, no longer a hologram, but the Academy's permanent Earth representative. "The ceremony is about to start," she said, her crystalline form glowing with excitement. "And wait until you hear the latest numbers." They walked together to the main hall, where 50 dogs and their alien partners waited. Luna trotted beside them, her training vest showing the Academy symbol, a paw print inside a star. Earth dogs are now present on over 200 worlds, Dr. Vix announced proudly. Conflict rates between species have dropped by 60% in areas with xenotherapy programs. The Commonwealth Science Academy has completely changed its view on emotional intelligence. Lyra's skin sparkled with joy as she looked at the graduating class. There was a some singer learning gentle play from a gentle old Labrador. A group of mist people floated near their border collie friends. 2 rock walkers stood beside their husky partners, their crystal eyes soft with love. "Tell them about the new research," Emily prompted. Dr. Vix nodded. "We've discovered that dogs don't just help different species talk to each other. They actually help aliens develop new emotional abilities. Species that were once thought to be emotionless are learning to feel and show affection." The ceremony began. Each dog and their alien partner demonstrated their bond, playing together, solving problems, showing trust. Lyra remembered her own first days on Earth, when she had been too scared to even pat Max. Now she couldn't imagine life without dogs. "The Anderson family changed the galaxy," she said quietly to Emily. "By sharing their home with me, by introducing me to Max, by helping me understand Earth's animals. They started all of this." Emily squeezed her friend's hand. "You helped too. You were brave enough to question what your people thought they knew. You showed them a different kind of intelligence." Luna brought them a training toy, tail wagging. Around them, the hall was full of happy barks, alien songs, and the sounds of different species laughing together. Lyra's skin glowed with her special Earth dog pattern, the one that meant love across all boundaries. "You know what the best part is?" she said, watching an alien child learning to play fetch. "This is still just the beginning. Every dog, every alien, every friendship, they're all writing new chapters in this story." As the sun rose higher over the Academy, Lyra knew she had found her true mission. She wasn't just a researcher anymore. She was a bridge builder, helping the galaxy learn Earth's greatest lesson. Love speaks all languages, especially when it barks.